You ever wonder if an old, forgotten newspaper could tell you the entire story of a nation's economy? Well, it turns out it can. By digging into the archives of just one publication, we can see the hopes, the fears, and all the massive shifts of American capitalism. Today, we're going to do just that by looking at the Commercial and Financial Chronicle, a paper that literally saw it all, from the Gilded Age right up to the dawn of the digital world.
So, to get us started, let's look at a fear that just never seems to go away. This quote is from February 1969, but honestly, it could have been written this morning. This anxiety about a handful of people becoming virtual masters of the economy, it's a theme that just keeps popping up through the Chronicle's entire history. It's the perfect lens for us to look through.
Okay, so let's properly meet our witness, the Commercial and Financial Chronicle. It got its start way back in 1865, and it was the first national business weekly in the whole country. And it had a heck of a run, peaking in 1922. Now, this wasn't just some paper. It was a genuine force. It even set a huge legal precedent back in 1895. And the craziest part? After 122 years, it finally shut down in 1987, a victim of the exact same kind of market chaos it had spent its entire life reporting on. All right, our story kicks off in the Gilded Age. This was a time of mind-blowing industrial growth, insane fortunes being made, but also this deep, kind of weird anxiety just hiding under the surface. And the Chronicle? It had a front row seat for the whole show, basically taking the temperature of the nation every week. The Chronicle learned pretty quick that it had to be tough. In 1895, it wasn't just reporting the news, it was making it. It actually sued a competitor for ripping off its data, and in doing so, it established this game-changing idea. Financial info isn't just free for the taking, it's intellectual property. This was a massive step in making financial journalism a serious profession, and it cemented the Chronicle's reputation as the authority.
And you want to talk about anxiety? Get a load of this. While the economy was booming, the paper's issue from May 11th, 1907 was looking up at the sky in absolute terror. They imagined airships not as cool new inventions, but as terrifying weapons of war that could just appear in the night and cause total devastation. It's such a shocking look into the pre-World War I mindset, where amazing new technology also came with this really dark vision of what it could be used for.
Okay, let's jump ahead a bit. The Roaring Twenties are in full swing, the party's on, right? But the pages of the Chronicle were about to capture a country teetering right on the edge of a total disaster. This is just wild. It's a dispatch from the eye of the hurricane, February 23rd, 1929. We are just 8 months away from the crash that changed everything. And what's the Chronicle reporting? Total, eerie calm. Trading is moderate, and even with bad weather, stocks just keep going up. No panic, no sign of the cliff they're all about to run off. It is absolutely chilling to read, like finding the captain's log from the Titanic just before it hit the iceberg. So after the crash, things got tough, really tough. But in the middle of all that hardship, a whole new industry started to boom: escapism. While the real world had breadlines, Americans were finding new ways to dream. You had Revlon, founded in 1932, selling a little bit of glamour. Then in 1935, Monopoly becomes a bestseller, letting families pretend to be tycoons. And by 39, Hollywood is pumping out these incredible Technicolor fantasies like The Wizard of Oz. These weren't just distractions. They were, in a way, survival tools. Okay, new chapter. We're past the hot war, and now we're in the Cold War. And the Chronicle is now covering this really bizarre period in America. On one hand, you've got incredible prosperity, suburbs, new cars. But on the other hand, there's this constant gnawing fear that the entire world could just end at any second. And if you want to understand that constant dread, this quote says it all. It's March 1955. President Eisenhower is talking about using nuclear weapons as casually as you'd use a bullet. I mean, just so nonchalant. This wasn't some abstract idea. This was the background noise of life, this constant hum of terrifying possibility. At the same time, another massive change was brewing just under the surface. A study comes out in 1961, and it shows that for most college-educated women, the main goal in life wasn't to have their own career. It was to marry a prominent man and raise highly accomplished children. That was the definition of success. But that was all about to get turned completely upside down. And here's what turned it upside down: the pill. Its arrival wasn't just a social revolution, it was a massive economic one. It gave women real, tangible control over their lives and their futures. For the first time, they could realistically invest in what economists call slow-burning skills, the kind of expertise you get from years of law school or medical school. That fundamentally changed the math for women's careers, and with it, the entire American workforce.
And that brings us to the final act. The world was changing again, but this time it was moving at the speed of light. And for a paper and ink institution like the Chronicle, well, a new technology was basically an asteroid heading right for it. I mean, the pace of change here is just staggering. It really starts in 1974 with the first PC, which is mostly a thing for hobbyists. But then, just a few years later, in 1981, IBM gets in the game, and suddenly, PCs are serious business. The whole world of information just accelerated, moving faster than a weekly newspaper could ever hope to. The Chronicle, which had been the source for so long, was getting left in the dust. And that brings us to the final, fateful year, 1987, a year of absolute chaos in the markets that would finally mean the end for our 122-year-old witness. There's a strange irony here, right? The paper that lived and breathed the market was ultimately killed by the market. The Black Monday crash of '87 was brutal, but it was that, combined with the rise of instant digital information, that delivered the final 1-2 punch. Its analog voice was finally silenced. But the story doesn't totally end there. The Chronicle stopped being a newspaper, sure, but it became something else, an absolutely priceless time capsule. Today, economic historians just pore over its pages, using all that data to piece together the real, messy story of American capitalism. So in a way, its legacy is stronger than ever. So all of this leaves us with one last thought. We've seen the story the Chronicle told, from Gilded Age fortunes to Cold War fears. But what about us? In our own crazy age of crypto, AI, and constant disruption, what are our biggest anxieties? What are our wildest ambitions? What kind of story will future historians find when they look back at the records of our time?